Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narasimhan. Ladies and gentlemen, the government has presented a white paper. And on the day the government was presenting the white paper that would compare 10 years of the UPA vis-a-vis 10 years of the NDA, the opposition has come out with a black paper saying this is the anyay that they have done with the people of Bharat in the last 10 years. Some of the white paper documents and information that stands out, and ladies and gentlemen, it's important to understand these markers when it comes to affordable housing, when it comes to construction of toilets, affordable pension for the unorganized sector workers, minimum zero balance bank accounts, rural electrification, affordable medicines, optical fiber network and maternity benefit for the poor. The numbers are stark. They stand out like how? Just look at maternity benefit for the poor in 2010-2013 period, 9.9 lakh beneficiaries in 53 districts compared to 2017 to 2023 when it's 3.59 crore beneficiaries across Bharat. Even as far as a number like the capital expenditure or capex, which was in 2003-2004, the Vajpayee era, 31%, it dropped to less than about 16% in the 2013-2014 period to go back up to 28% in the 23-24 period of the 22-23 period. Now these are all facts and numbers which I am reading out from the white paper. There you go, 23, 24, 28%, 16% in 2013-2014. I am reading out those numbers. Let's go across to Tehseen Poonawala, Surabhi Hodigere and Dr. Anand Ranganathan and understand from them between the white paper and the black paper. Because there are some facts and numbers in the black paper too, which are quite significant, and I'm sure Tehseen would want to highlight, which they've called as anyay, saying that they have done arthik anyay, where is rampant unemployment, economic blunders, distressed farmers, workers abandoned, Modani Raj, and then they've come to samajik nyay, saying SC, STs, OBCs betrayed, injustice against women, social disharmony. So who's window dressing and who is not? Because let's talk about the white paper and the black paper, Surabhi Hodigere. When you look at the opposition's black paper, they have talked about the fuel prices. Prices of essential commodities are at an all-time high. LPG was at 410 rupees per cylinder. In 2024, it is 903 rupees per cylinder, 120% jump. Petrol was 71 rupees a litre. It is 97 rupees a litre. Diesel was 55 rupees a litre, it is currently 90 rupees a litre, 64% jump. Mustard oil was 90 rupees per kilogram, then it is 143 rupees per kilogram today, 59%. Atta, 22% then, 35 rupees per kilogram, right, 22 rupees per kilogram then, 35 rupees per kilogram now, 59% jump. 35 rupees per litre milk, now it is 60 rupees per litre, a 71% jump. Now what is the answer to this? Now, who's glossing over what? Surabhi Hodigere.
Glossing over, Anand, it's quite surprising. Like, why did you stop at 2014? You should have gone before that, when the price of everything was a lot lesser. Why did you stop there? That was my first reaction when I saw this report. But I'd like to tell you something that also came to my mind about the pre-2014 era, Anand, which is that I was a young student in Delhi in 2013, and I remember two words being incredibly common. One of them was policy paralysis, and the second was banking crisis. And I think these two words sort of, for me, really signified and made it clear what the UPA era management of the economy was all about, which was that one, decisions were not being taken. There was a lack of proactive governance. And second, the banking crisis, the economy that the UPA inherited, and this is very well detailed in the white paper and has been spoken about elsewhere as well. The economy that the UPA inherited versus the economy that the NDA inherited, the Prime Minister Modi's government inherited, were vastly different. And a lot of that difference is also contributed to the fact that there was a huge non-performing asset crisis, banking crisis, because of phone banking that happened during the UPA period. And not just that, we had ministers who did not, who were not proactive in their governance, there was decision paralysis. Forget everything, forget the indicators or not. These things are susceptible to global changes in different things. We're all well read and educated to know that there are two wars happening currently. The fact that this regime has seen a pandemic like never before. And within all of these global uncertainties, if we have been able to maintain, and against the advice of many people who unfortunately I've had a lot of discussions with, who have said that there needs to be a huge liquidity of during the pandemic, against the advice of people who call themselves global economists, the economy was held strong. Versus what you see in this white paper today, which is that especially between 2009 and 2013, Tehseen and Anand sir would remember. You remember policy paralysis, Lok Sabha was not running, the economy was left in shatters because the UPA misgoverned and mismanaged. Instead, today we have a thinking that is not for 2 years, not for 3 years, not for election, not for 5 years, 10 years, but for years ahead, laying the foundation for the economy so that young people like myself, like Tehseen, also Anand sir, can dream of building a country that will definitely go be the, a global leader in many ways.
But there are some numbers, Surbi, that you have to consider. See, number of investigations, Enforcement Directorate, 2004 to 2014, 26. After 2014, 121. Then Central Bureau of Investigation, called a caged parrot at that time, still had 72 investigations, now 124. Now, investigation against the opposition. Against the opposition, it was 54% in 2004 to 2014. After 2014, it is 95%. It's like vendetta. And then, say CBI also. CBI is 60%, then 95% now. So, there is a black paper which is also trying to say that, you are targeting the government today, the center today is focused on targeting only the opposition. Everything cannot be wrong only with the opposition. That's another point.
So is the number saying that it can't just be that the opposition is doing all of this and there are others also? Let the court prove that they're not doing it. The opposition should be saying these are false allegations. They're accepting we have done something wrong. But you're coming only up. This is an absurd argument. I can't even believe that these are numbers that they would publish, in a black paper like this. It can also possibly mean a lot of things. As anybody who can look into this can draw multiple conclusions from the fact that the corruption is basically being done by the opposition because the Prime Minister's popularity is carrying the BJP through something. These sort of conclusions are also very much possible. I mean, you're accepting the fact that you're corrupt. You are saying it out loud. That is what this number shows to me.
No, this number also shows that those who are against the opposition or against the government are being targeted. Those who are with the government are not.
There is due process.
Another way of
due process. There is due process. This country is not devoid of due process. There is courts. There are police. There are ways in which you can hold people who you think are not who are corrupt or not, or so forth. Let that due process take place. If it is true that 95% of the people who have been accused have been falsely accused, then it is vendetta.
Right. Okay. Tehseen Poonawalla, how do you want to respond? Dr. Ranganathan after that. The scientist today will speak last. Ji.
The scientist will make the scientific analysis. But look, let me just come on some big numbers, which are the bigger numbers that should worry all of us as Indians, irrespective of which side of the divide we are.
Right.
And these are realities, which the government has not got into the white paper. The labour participation in manufacturing is at its lowest in 45 years. It's at its lowest in 45 years. The labour participation in agriculture is at its highest in 40 years. This shows you that manufacturing is reducing. People are going back to agriculture. This also goes along with the interim budget Nirmala Sitharaman ji gave right now for Manrega, an allocation of 86,000 crores, which is the highest in an interim budget, promising 2 lakh crores. Now, you know, Anand, and all your viewers know that Manrega is the last resort for jobs. So that means you don't have jobs. 45-year high unemployment. 2 lakh Indians have given up their passports. Several lakh Indians are leaving this nation and going. Look at with the NCRB data. The highest number of Indians committed suicide. Most of them committed suicide for lack of jobs. Farmer distress. While I was coming to your studio, it took me 2 hours because farmers who are apparently growing in this government are right now on the streets protesting. Internet has been shut off and the roads had been shut. It took me 2 hours to reach your studio. Farmer distress right now. All of these are reality number. Women participation in manufacturing is at an all-time low once again. So women have been cut out of the workforce. Now these are serious issues that we need to deal with. The fact is the government does not have a roadmap for the future. Yes, on certain parameters, and I will not disagree with that. Economically, we're doing decently. But yes, but also prior to that in COVID, we hit hit minus 23.7. So on minus 23.7, you grow at 7%. You've still not done a complete recovery. Therefore, RBI in its paper says manufacturing is still not pre-COVID levels. Now, with all of this distress, where are the jobs? We don't have jobs. Savings is at an all-time low. The IMF said that India is soon going to hit 100% of its debt. And here is the clincher. The numbers that the government has put out, what the opposition repeatedly asked the government in parliament, Manish Tiwari asked in writing and the government refuses to answer, even to anchors like you, is what is the consolidated debt of the Union of India, the centre, states and PSUs? They don't give that number to the citizens. So we don't even know what our debt is. Our debt has doubled, tripled, quadrupled. We don't know those numbers. The government refuses to put out the number. Right. IMF is giving us a warning. And therein is the problem. That is where the issue actually is economically.
Right. Now, sometimes when you're past masters at crafting an argument, then you're past masters at crafting every argument. So on the one hand, when Manrega was being ditched by the Prime Minister in the past, they said, see, this is the lifeline. And Manrega was championed by the UPA. Yes. At that time, it was not said that there is rampant unemployment and that's why I've got to do Manrega. Now it's a never before spend in core infrastructure where the infrastructure spends have been committed to. So that infrastructure spend, you have to drive the rural workforce towards Manrega, and that's why Manrega allocations have gone up. Then you should say what we did was right. Today it has now become a reflection of unemployment in the country. Tehseen Poonawalla, you're a past master at swinging the argument. It's okay. Let Surabhi also answer this.
Let me just answer that. The Honorable Prime Minister in Parliament got up and said, and I'm quoting the Prime Minister. Sorry, Anand. Sorry, just 30 seconds. The Honorable Prime Minister in Parliament, I'm quoting him verbatim, said, मैं मनरेगा को मरने नहीं दूंगा, ये आपकी असफलता का सबूत रहेगा. मनरेगा is of no use. Today, the Prime Minister is forced to do allocations not for infrastructure spend. Infrastructure spend is separate because there is no jobs and people asking for jobs in Manrega. If somebody has to, why has your demand for labor in agriculture gone up?
Somebody has to do the labor when the roads are being built
for agriculture.
So, sir, the cost. Sir, please, let's not try and get into these kind of inane debates and get into the minutiae when you understand the larger concept. I'm saying either you say Manrega is good and the government has accepted it finally, or you say Manrega is a reflection of unemployment. So we were also putting large monies in Manrega because huge number of unemployment then, and there is huge number of unemployment. You can't make both the arguments at the same.
You can make both the arguments because Manrega was a job guarantee.
Now another number, comparison of transfers to state across two regimes, especially around the centre versus south that they're trying to fuel right now. This is all a fight for those 100 seats where the BJP had less than 10. Now they want to make sure that the BJP doesn't get any there in those 100 seats. But let's try and look at this. 3.8 times more resources to states through tax devolution and FC grants. Secondly, extra resources of the magnitude of 1 percentage point of the GDP to states through tax devolution and FC grants. In 2004-2005 to 2013-2014, it was 22.1%. The amount in rupees lakh crore, 22.1 rupees lakh crore rupees. That was the amount. In 2014-2015 to the 2023-24 period, as per the Finance Commission and budget documents, it is 84.3 lakh crore rupees. So the states can't say money has not gone back to them. Actually, more than 4 times or nearly 4 times the money has gone back. FC resources, that's the fixed grants, the FC grants resources, as percentage of GDP, it was 3.36% of the GDP 2004-5 to 13-14. 14-15 to 23-24, it is 4.24% of the GDP. So under this government, it's only gone up, it's not gone down. So this is the Finance Commission and the budget document. I'm not calling this. I'm not counting these numbers.
Sir,
okay.
They are not
my point is, I am seeing the graphic like this. Tehseen Poonawalla is seeing it like this. So that's why the whole scenario changes.
We are not getting the 42%.
That's what's happening. But dude, either you accept it or you don't.
I don't accept it.
So don't accept. But this is a Finance Commission number. It's not 42%. It's not a number that I have pulled out of my hat.
Of course, I respect that. But that's a false number.
Again, affordable housing rural 2003 to 2014, 2.1 crore houses. Period 2016-2024, again 2.6 crore houses. So this is the outcome that's been recorded. Again, 1.8 crore toilets constructed 11 to 14, 14 to 24, 11.5 crore household toilets have been concluded. Then 36.4 lakh beneficiaries, affordable pension, 2015 to 2023, 6.14 beneficiaries. So core welfare also. This is far more socialist. This is called a right-wing Hindutva government, Dr. Ranganathan. This is far more welfare and far more socialist than the so-called socialists themselves, as per the numbers. Dr. Ranganathan.
Good evening. No, absolute, Anand. Good evening to my fellow panelists as well. First of all, can I please put a white paper and correct Tehseen's just one of the many facts that he got wrong. The women participation, female labor force is the highest ever at 37%. He's saying it has reduced. It has increased by multiple percentage points, more than 10 percentage points.
He doesn't believe those numbers. Those numbers are
Those
wrong.
are government numbers, my friend.
Government numbers cannot be right, sir. Even if they are audited by an external agency.
No, now I want 3 or 4 points to make because it's such an important and lovely discussion we're having, and it'll be very helpful for me as a learning experience as well. So here goes. Number one, the fact, Anand, is that this white paper should have come 10 years earlier. I fail to understand the reason for this white paper coming in 2024. It should have come in 2014. And the fact also is that the situation, economic at least situation of the UPA 1, which is 2004 to 2009, would have been much worse had it not dovetailed on the economic success of the Vajpayee government, of NDA 1. The fact of the matter is that NDA 1, Mr. Vajpayee handed over the economy and other parameters to the UPA 1 when India was in very good hands. And if you look at now the parameters of UPA 1 and UPA 2 combined, Karan Karan Bhasin, an economist, a brilliant economist, has come up with some astonishing numbers. When Tehseen talks of joblessness, what Karan says is that from 2004 to 2009, only 1.3 million jobs were created. That's it. In the NDA Modi era, 8.5 million jobs annually have been created. I don't know what figures Tehseen and the Congress are tom-tomming. They're just completely out of the park. The fact of the matter is that 430 million mudra loans have been given. 15 million jobs have just been created in 9 sectors. If you look at the capex, you would realize the amount of government expenditure requires those millions of jobs to be there, Tehseen. This is not rocket science. Now I want to come to the other parameters. The inflation. Will Tehseen also dispute the fact that in 2014, on the eve of the general elections, the inflation was 13 to 13.5%. It has been under the RBI cap for most of the NDA Modi era, and right now it is 5.8%. So Mehngai as an issue, it is utmost rarity that is not an issue in an Indian election. It was in 2014. I challenge Tehseen to dispute that. Now, the other fact that Surabhi also mentioned about the state of the economy, I don't want to go in there because the fact of the matter is the people saw through it. The NPAs, the loans that were given, the crony capitalism that was rife, and they booted UPA out. So it is not a question of us now saying that, look, do you remember those figures? Of course we remember those figures. That is the reason why Modi was, voted in and UPA was voted out. The other situation is when you talk of development, Anand, I'll just take 30 seconds. Is it not true that 120 million new toilets have been made? And if they have been made, that means there were 120 million fewer toilets. There were 111 million fewer tap connections. 260 million new health insurance cards have been given. 430 million mudra loans. 40 million houses have been made. On every development parameter, this government has fared better than the previous UPA government. But that is a fact. People know this. There's no point disputing it. Finally, and this is very important, I want to come on scams. And please give me 30 seconds, even 35 seconds. Everyone knew the reason for UPA being voted out was those Colgate, was the 2G scam, was the Commonwealth scam. All very well. And I congratulate the people who actually saw through those scams. But the point of the matter is, rather than having a white paper illustrating those scams, I now demand from Surabhi, a good friend, and other BJP people, a white paper on the action taken on those scams. Tell me one Congress leader who's been arrested. What happened to the Colgate scam? What happened to the 2G scam? What happened to the Vadra scam? What happened to the Commonwealth Games scam? Name me one Congress leader that has been arrested in 10 years. That is the white paper, Anand, that I want.
Well said there. But the point is, sir, had this white paper come in 2014 when the government came into power, the Prime Minister himself has said that the country would have gone into cardiac arrest. And the recovery chances would have been less than 5% at that point in time had this been put out. So, you have survived a similar situation, so you would understand how dire that situation is. And let's hope that nobody has to suffer a situation like that, Dr. Ranganathan. But that's what an entire country, a nation of 140 crore people, had they had to go through this, imagine what would have happened. Meanwhile, in 2004, Tehseen Pulwama, when the UPA government began its term, the economy was growing at 8%. With the industry and services sector growth above 7% each and a resuscitating agricultural sector growth above 9% in financial year 2004. This was amidst a benign world economic environment. But the 1991 reforms that the UPA government continues to tap its shoulder on, were junked in 2004. That's what happened. Why did the world lose economic confidence in the country? Why did we go through what we did? Did the global financial crisis and the fiscal stimulus package actually hurt us more than help us? Right. Welfareism the wrong way? Are those the points? How is it that the country is on the cusp of being the third largest economy if everything that this government is doing is wrong?
No, no government does everything wrong. Let's be clear on that. Yes, we are on the cusp of being the third largest economy. We are the fifth largest economy in the world, and congratulations for that. But on per capita income, we are 127th. And that's a terrible difference between the haves and have-nots, and that has only increased. And southern states and western states like my Maharashtra, which actually contribute and have reduced inequality, are being punished for it. For example, my state of Maharashtra gets 8 paisa for every 1 rupee it contributes, but that's not the debate. Let me come to the larger issue.
So, sir, those who contribute to Maharashtra's economy, if they leave Maharashtra, then how much will Maharashtra contribute?
Sir,
let's not do this.
You don't interrupt Anand. Allow me to make my point. I agree that everyone's required. I'm not going to make any divisive statement. I am just saying that there is gross unfairness because we, in my state of Maharashtra and Southern, we've reduced the disparity. Let me give you a figure that shows you how disparity is increased in the country. The tax to GDP collection under UPA was 10.5%. It's gone up now to 10.8%. But your economy has gone from 11th to 5th. Your GST collection is a record around 1,70,000, which means the poor are paying a larger share of the tax than the rich. Now, I'm not saying that the rich should be penalized. I am a capitalist. I am saying there's some gross economic problems happening in our country, which also leads to the unemployment. Anand, by the way, this government data on the women participation is wrong. I'll come to that with data later on. On GDP, UPA performed better. Now, in 2008, Anand, please allow me to finish. I'll take 30 seconds more and I'll finish. In 2008, we had the global crisis just like you had the COVID crisis. It took Dr. Manmohan Singh to lead the world out of the global recession, says President Barack Obama. I looked up to Manmohan Singh. From the double taxation agreements to various reforms, which was the one chief minister who opposed every reform? Chief Minister Narendra Modi ji. Which was the one government that opposed everything, including the nuclear deal? The BJP. They even bought cash in parliament to stop the nuclear deal. If those reforms slowed down, it is because of the BJP and fake scams like 2G that the BJP invented, wasted a parliamentary session. That's what he says. The parliament was not functioning. The BJP should be penalized for doing that, and people like Vinod Rai should be tried in a court for what happened. And they slowed down the economy, perhaps, and I think when a new government comes, should investigate whether there were foreign powers funding these people, that they created this sort of a drama and they paralyzed parliament. That should be investigated.
Okay. Surabhi Hodigere.
Especially on the nuclear deal.
Surabhi Hodigere, respond.
Great. Anand, I want to talk about one thing that I think for me has been the defining feature of the way this government has been handling the economy. It is, and that's, to contextualize why this white paper has come out now as well, is because it was important for us to remember that from 2004 till 2014, the approach to handling the economy, a very sort of, this favoritism and welfareism, that's what I'd like to say, with us having a national advisory council that existed, the one that was very selective and biased. From that, to going to an economy that focused on economic development, that focused on structural reforms. The fact, Tehseen calls himself a capitalist over here, the fact that we did not have a bankruptcy code till very recently, a solid bankruptcy code, says a lot about where we were thinking, what we were thinking in our economic direction. The fact that this government was able to bring in GST, the fact that we were able to very strongly use technology for direct benefit transfer. Tehseen Pulawala, you would know, Rajiv Gandhi himself would, rant about the fact that there was so little going to the final beneficiary. Using DBT, we have not just transformed the way that people receive their benefits, but also very much really increased the savings that the government makes in the same way. And because Tehseen does not believe government data, Annexure 1 of this very report has global agencies, including IMF and World Bank, their perception about India. It is a truth. It is the fact. The fact that we have done better on ease of doing business, the fact that capex investment in infrastructure has increased, the fact that there is a better environment for investment in India. And this is, you'll see it in this. I think this is exactly meant for people like Tehseen who don't believe government data, because there's always the white man's favoritism. We'd rather hear it from outside. So there's the whole bunch of statements. IMF has very clearly said that India's, on their paper, India selected issues in 2014, unprecedented widening of India's current account deficit versus what have they said for what has been said elsewhere for 2021. Is in net flows and improvement in the current account have supported an increase in foreign exchange reserves. So we are hearing from not just our own estimates, but of course we don't need these sort of validations, but we are hearing from our own people the fact that there is so many young people who are starting up, the fact that there are an increased number of people who want to participate in this economy. That in itself should be a big number. And I think, this whole discussion that we are having should also be based a little on what is the plan for the future. This economy management style that the Modi government has brought in, which is very grounded, which is looking at structural reforms, is also looking at investments in renewable, making sure that there is energy sufficiency happening within our country, making sure that we are prepped for the artificial intelligence era. This is the mindset the Modi government is going into its economic management, not from the perspective of, which is the easiest way to
well, I'm just looking at some numbers at this point. Average headline inflation, sab kuch mehenga ho gaya. The black paper said everything is gone. Now, this is Anand Ranganathan is showing something. Yes, sir. What are you showing, yes, Dr. Ranganathan?
From 24% to 37% is the female rate participation. So, Tehseen, can you please apologize?
I'll read out my data because this is government data.
No. Government data is wrong. Audited data is wrong. His data is right.
Believe the GDP numbers of the government.
And what is the source? Source is my data.
No, source is. Sorry, my source is CEDA, the Center for Economic Development and Data Analysis. But here's the fact. Now, let me ask you one thing. If everything that I'm saying is wrong and the government white paper is correct, why do you have the highest unemployment in 45 years? Anand spoke about mudra loans. Your average mudra loan, Anand, please. The average mudra loan is 40,000 rupees. It doesn't help you start a new business. That's not a participation for jobs. In fact, your EPFO data is also not a participation for how many jobs have increased. That's a misguided. That's basic commerce that it isn't. That the Prime Minister says it in Parliament does not make it the truth. That's basic commerce that it isn't. In fact, the Honorable Prime Minister has been on record saying we don't have data for jobs. The fact of the matter is you don't have a policy for fintech tests, Surbhi put out. Just now as we speak, there's a fintech company that's gone under the weather completely. The government has been clueless on Web 3.0. The government is clueless on fintech technology. Every single startup today is going through a winter. The new startups, fintech startups are being registered in Dubai and Singapore, not being registered in India because of lack of policy. But even if you leave out all of these problems that we are facing today, the bigger problem that we are facing today as a country is young people who don't have jobs and don't have savings. We are at our lowest savings and we don't have jobs. And for the inflation data, Anand, let me tell you,
don't
the
have jobs.
Has been changed.
They
have given weightage.
Again and again saying don't have jobs, don't have jobs.
Where are the jobs?
That doesn't make where
8.5
there
million
are
jobs
no jobs today available.
Listen.
Indians today, young Indians don't have quality jobs.
Okay.
They
Surabhi,
may
hold
be
again.
doing, they may
Yeah,
be doing
no,
jobs
don't
like
have,
tallowing pakoda.
What you're
That's
saying?
not quality.
Now you're adding an adjective.
I'm not adding an adjective.
You're adding
That's
a
not a
prefix,
job.
suffix, adjective, and
There
also
we go.
your rural employment, the women employment,
we
women
go.
in the workforce employment has not been, you have not yet come out with the actual number. You quoted the source, but you not quoted the number yet.
Let me give you the number.
Give me the number and have a look at it. The average headline inflation during the UPA government, sir, was 8.2% in the period 4 to 14. The period 14 to 23 financial years is 5%. That's the number that's been put out by the government. In terms of cargo traffic in million tons, in FY15 it was 581 million tons, it's gone up to 784 million tons. Electrified rail routes have gone up from 22,224 kilometers to 50,394 kilometers. Financial year 15 to 23, number of airports has doubled, more than doubled, 74 to 149. These are the numbers. Somewhere somebody is traveling, no, because these airports are still functional. Somebody is also importing and exporting because the tonnage has gone up and the activity at the ports has gone up. Somebody is also using the highways because the road construction has gone up from 97,830 kilometers to 1,45,240 kilometers. The number of cars that are being bought on in the country are unprecedented. Number of e-bikes that are being bought is an unprecedented number. Forget fuel, non-renewable source fuel bikes. But so there is somebody who's consuming. Now you can't say government's job is not to create jobs. The government's job is to create an environment where there is enough that is happening to create jobs. But the government also accepts. The RBI also accepts, and that Tehseen Poonawala said, Surabhi Odigere, enough manufacturing is not happening. If we as a country are supposed to be healthy, we have to become a manufacturing hub. We have not been able to really make in India in the last 10 years.
No, I think that's a great sort of segue into what we must be discussing for the future, which is absolutely true. We must focus on manufacturing. We have jumped in many places from the agricultural sector to the service sector. We have not focused on, upskilling. We have not, but that is precisely why this government has put that whole Make in India initiative at the very, very forefront. Created performance-linked incentives, made sure that manufacturing gets its due place. And I saw this debate on women in labor force participation. And being the only woman in the panel, I will very clearly state that these numbers, that the increase within manufacturing sector, there has been an increase in the number of women who are participating. In fact, we have received a lot of 42% is what I'm seeing in one of the reports of women of the entire sector consists of women. These are all good things to be happening. And Anand, in with respect to your question, right, the investment that we are making in infrastructure, finally, what is it that comes as a barrier, as a big barrier for us to be a manufacturing hub or for us to be growing in this space, is that we need to invest in these sort of things. Investment in infrastructure across different regions. The fact that we're thinking about semiconductor policy, we're having bilateral agreements across the world. These are all very, very encouraging. Yes, absolutely, very, very encouraging. Look, we are not going to grow.
These are all encouraging. I have to wind up, but here is a caveat. If you are trying to say that only those in the opposition are corrupt and the moment they come into the BJP, they are absolutely clean, sorry. If you are saying that those who are in the government, everybody from top down to right to the bottom, everybody is squeaky clean and there is no grassroots level corruption, there is no mid-level corruption and there is no skimming off the top that's going on, that's not true. That's also national wealth.
And 5 seconds.
And that is something that needs to be addressed. Final 5 seconds, Dr. Ranganathan. And I'm just saying that between the black paper and the white paper, there are a few grey areas which still remain. Dr. Ranganathan.
Yeah, with your permission, can I just ask my dear friend Surabhi just one small question?
Ji.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Surabhi, can you name one BJP leader who is under ED surveillance and investigation?
I mean, I should not be naming that because I'm from a political party, but I can text it to you if you want.
So she can't say it on air. The investigation continues, sir. Officially and technically the investigation continues, but there is a difference between a fast burn and a slow burn.
Look, may I?
We
may I
leave
just
it.
say,
We leave it at that for the moment. Thank you very much. Dr. Ranganathan stays on with us. Surabhi Hodigere and Tehseen Pulawala. Thank you very much. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, there are multiple issues that we'll speak about. There is ballot that's happening in Pakistan, but they are saying it's not a general election; it's a general election. And of course, there is Gunraj in Pak-occupied Kashmir. Stay with us. We get you the pictures.
A lot of patience, a lot of wait, but I feel that every wait, every experience has been a stepping stone for me. I feel that I've grown with a lot of exposure, a lot of experience, a lot of training has come to place when it comes to communication, when it comes to your walk, when it comes to your styling, when it comes to your personality. You meet so many people that helps you discover yourself. I believe in observing and learning. So I think the wait is worth it. Well, I do agree that, pressure is something that mounts up, that can take a toll on your health, on your mental health. But I think there is one thing that I really believe in is passion and how you pursue it. I keep my passion really close to me, that is dance. And just breathing and understanding that everything is okay. You just have to do yourself best. You have to be true to yourself. You have to be your authentic self, and just be kind at heart and do your best. Everything will work out for you.
Oh, that's good advice.
Breathing is important.
Breathe in, just breathe in and breathe out. That can solve a lot of problems.
Breathe out.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're just 21, and like I said, that's why the question came. But at such a young age, you have to do everything just right. Every move you make, how you walk, how you talk, everything will be scrutinized to the minutest detail. And that's when, well, indeed, when it's happening in India, the expectations get even, larger. But let me move on and ask you this. While India is hosting this, what is the meaning of India for you? If you had to describe India in one word for the world to see at the moment, because India is having such a true moment world over, and this competition being held here and being hosted here is just another feather in that hat, right? If you had to define India in one word to the rest of the world, to those 120 contestants that are coming from across the globe, what would you say?
Well, when it comes to India, I feel that growth is something that comes to my mind. I believe that India is a potluck of culture. Like I mentioned, with every step that we take, in every 2 kilometers, we feel that India has a new boundary, a new space altogether. We feel that we have entered a new nation altogether. We are all very rooted to our traditions, but at the same time, we are embarking on a new journey where we're seeing India on the global platform, being one of the biggest economies. We are advancing in technology. We are taking our recourse towards progressive march and perfection. Well, I feel that India has taken us to the greater level, and I cannot wait to represent that, show that to my fellow contestants, to the 120 delegates that are coming here to India, to show what India purely stands for. Its hospitality, its growth, the new journey that we are embarking on, and I hope that everyone has a great time here.
Sini Shetty is Miss India right now, and as Miss India, as a 21-year-old, as a finance graduate, we obviously are very interested to know what she will be doing in the upcoming pageant. But why is the upcoming pageant so keenly watched?
Back on, ladies and gentlemen, and Pakistan has gone to polls today. So these are visuals that we get you from Pakistan, from Pak-occupied Kashmir, and also from Jammu and Kashmir, where the proxy war continues and the enemy continues to use its devious tactics. And this time, the dastardly attack where Amritpal Singh has now been shot dead, and that continues in Srinagar, an unfortunate turn of events last evening. But the middle pictures, this is Rawalkot in Pak-occupied Jammu Kashmir, where Jaish cadre are seen walking around campaigning for polls there, with guns in their hand out there. So legitimizing, trying to mainstream these terrorist outfits is one big concern. But along with that, as Pakistan goes to polls, we are given to understand, and this is the information that we have, that around 90,675 polling stations were kept. Largely the claim is that voting went on peacefully, but the complaint is that there is only one particular party that's being facilitated. It's not the general elections, it's a general election, if you were to say, in the little part of it, because the deep state seems to be controlling how voting would go. Nearly 40 to 45% voter turnout, but PTI and PPP cadre are saying their candidates were not allowed inside the polling stations, their voters were not allowed to go, cellular services have been disrupted altogether, independent candidates fielded by the PTI, they are saying they weren't even allowed to witness the ballot process. Accredited media journalists have not been allowed to enter polling booths. So that's what's going on. Sushant Sareen with us. We'll have Kamar Chima joining us from Pakistan in a bit. Dr. Ranganathan stays on. Sushant ji, so are the decks literally being cleared for Nawaz Sharif to come back? And does that change a thing for us?
No, it changes nothing for us. I think we need to be very clear on that. Incidentally, that wasn't an election rally in Rawalakot. That was, Pakistan's annual itch on 5th of February every year when they celebrate something they call the Kashmir Solidarity Day. And it's on that all these terrorist groups, which have been internationally proscribed, were, parading openly without any let or hindrance from any state authorities. So much for FATF.
Beg your pardon, that was not an election rally. I was on, it was my fault, sorry. Our input also says that this was a rally that was taken in Rawalakot city. Thank you, Sushant ji.
But I think it's just as important to underscore the fact that there are a number of terrorists who are also fighting these elections and have been allowed to fight these elections when a bona fide political party has been virtually dismantled, but these terrorist groups and their parties have fought elections. They might not win too many seats, but the fact that they've been in the electoral fray is troublesome enough. Now, having said that, I think you are quite right that it's a general's selection which is happening, not a general election. And the fact of the matter remains, we are not entirely sure how much of the seats Nawaz Sharif will actually get. Will he manage to get a simple majority on his own? Will he not? Because the very, very initial results which seem to be coming out suggest that the PTI guys have been, all of whom are fighting as independents, seem to have put up a good fight. But apparently the turnout was very low, which means that maybe a lot of people haven't come out and voted. And if the turnout, we'll have to see what the final figures are. Pakistan's election commission is like somebody tweeted today, it has virtually nothing to do with the elections anymore. There's no data coming from them. There is no information coming from them. But the fact is that if the turnout is very low, then it means a kind of a no confidence as far as the democratic process is concerned, that nobody really trusts this process, that, people have voted with their feet. If the turnout turns out to be high, which I have my doubts, although, officially you could say that the turnout will be high because they probably stuff the ballot boxes late in the night. That's the normal modus operandi in Pakistan. And then they could come out in the morning with, these very fancy turnout figures. But if the turnout is very high and it's genuine, then we could see some kind of upsets also taking place. But I think it's still early days yet. Maybe the position will become clear by tomorrow morning. Because whatever shenanigans that the military has to do in stuffing the ballot boxes or changing the results, that happens, at about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning.
But if you're seeing something where you're saying general selection, that's a nice coinage that you've made, Sushantji, on the one hand, and then what you said happened on the 5th of February. The inputs say that Mufti Masood Ilyas was there with the Jaish cadre walking around in that rally with the toting guns, etc. But Dr. Ranganathan, the FATF has been told by Pakistan that humne sab saaf kar diya. We've stopped everything. We are very good boys.
I'll be very brief because I don't want to get into the way of an epic confrontation that lies in wait for us. It's taken 6 years, but finally we have Batman confronting Joker. I think Mr. Chima comes along and we'll have Sujan Paji head to head. And what happened last time they were together. So This is promising to be a fantastic debate. But I'll just say this. I'm perhaps the only time, Anand, I'm prepared to believe in bad is when I see the kind of neighbor we have in Pakistan. कुछ तो गलत किया होगा हमने पिछले जन्म में जो हमें ऐसा neighbor मिला. The entire edifice of this nation is founded upon hatred for Hinduism and of India. From the Jinnah, the man who ate pork and drank alcohol, to Imran, the man who rubbed dal makhani on his chest to attract the female of the species, to the army puppet now. Pakistan has been run by scheming charlatans filled with supremacist notions of religious brotherhood and hatred for India. And the hatred became acute when Pakistan broke into two of its own internal stress. A nation that was based on religion could not keep itself together to even celebrate its silver jubilee. What more proof does one need that Pakistan is a rogue terror state when its sitting cabinet minister said on the floor of its, not parliament, but cave, and I quote, "Our big success in Pulwama is the success of Imran Khan's Pakistan. It is your success. It is our success," unquote. The rampant killings of Baluchs, of Kashmiris in POK, the hounding and murder of thousands of Ahmadiyyas, the bombing and killing of Shias and Sufis. Pakistan is a case study on how not to run a nation.
Anand,
Kamar Chima is there with us. Namaste.
Anand, can I just?
I hope you got the chance to vote, Professor Chima.
Yes,
Anand,
I got the chance to vote.
So that means, and your phone is working. So, but there are
ये
claims
कौन
being
है?
made,
It is
cellular
working.
services are down, voting नहीं करने दे रहे हैं.
No,
ये कौन है?
the cellular services are down, in fact, but the Wi-Fi is working.
So, but you were able to vote. Now, yes, Sushantji wants to say something, and then Kamar Chima will come to you.
I just wanted to join issue with my friend Anand Ranganathan when he says that हमने कुछ गलती की होगी कि हमारे को ऐसा पड़ोसी मिला. He doesn't look at the flip side of it. He should be thankful that they're not part of your country, that they're a separate country. Imagine what these guys would have done if they were a part of this country. So I think we should give Muhammad Ali Jinnah the Bharat Ratna for getting us rid of these guys and can make a glorious India. Despite
Chima is getting rattled now.
No,
Chima
it's not about rattled, but the fact is that Pakistan has gone to elections. Are they free and fair? Or is it a general election or is it a general selection? Kamar Chima ji.
Well, you know, in the presence of these pseudo Plato and Aristotle, I would just want to tell you that Pakistan.
तू कौन है?
Pakistan. Let me complete.
Okay, let him
me
speak
finish
now.
the argument. These fake Plato and Aristotle from India, who have been trying to educate their people as if they are the only intellectuals left in India to tell what's happening in Pakistan and what's going on in India. Let me tell you, we had a very good election, and we believe that 130 million voters, they did vote today, where 56 million voters were young people, and it seems that the voter turnout is high, and the people of Pakistan trust the system, although we have seen some issues. The election process has not been always trusted. Even the politicians don't trust the process, but at the end of the day, they are the people who trust and they go and vote. And I think that's the beauty of Pakistani election system.
So all is well. So Imran Khan and PTI sources are saying झूठ बोल रहे हैं.
Well, I won't say they are lying, but definitely there are always issues. For instance, in the morning when the entire internet services or the cellular services were shut down, there were some issues which started. But you can't say the process is sham, because in reality there were some terrorist incidents in Balochistan just yesterday. So we have seen in when there is a national activity or there is some national event in the country, the cellular services are always shut.
But
This is not the first.
wasn't the FATF told that there are no terrorists in Pakistan? You just said
It is
there
not
were terrorist
just a question.
activity in Balochistan.
It is not just about the Indian propaganda of FATF. FATF has another issue, but yes, India has been sponsoring the terrorists to whom we have been countering for long in Balochistan. I think you rather.
So you're saying that you have taken control of all. So Jaish-e-Mohammed is not there in Pakistan.
Well, it's not about Jaish-e-Mohammed. I think rather.
Is Jaish-e-Mohammed there in Pakistan, sir? Is it operating in Pakistan?
I'm not an expert. I don't keep track of all these things. But what I keep track of all these things.
I'm just asking you. I'm just asking you. Is Jaish-e-Mohammed a terrorist outfit or not? One, is Jaish-e-Mohammed in Pakistan or not?
Pakistani state is eliminating all those terrorist organizations which are being supported by India. This is what I know.
So you are eliminating. Are you eliminating Jaish-e-Mohammed?
We are eliminating every terrorist organization which is a threat to Pakistan, definitely.
So is Jaish-e-Mohammed a terrorist outfit and is Jaish-e-Mohammed in Pakistan? Two questions. You're not answering that question.
I'm saying that I don't know about their presence, where they are, where they will be, and who are they. But I'm telling you that every
you don't know about their existence at all. You don't know. But are you sure they are not in Pakistan?
Funded by India.
So are you sure they are not in Pakistan? You agree that Jaish-e-Mohammed is a terrorist outfit, right?
You know, I agree that every organization which has been declared terrorist by a Pakistani government is a terrorist organization.
Oh, if it is proscribed by the UN, it's not a terrorist organization.
Then definitely, if it is proscribed by the UN Security Council, I think then we
so
have.
So then that means Jaish-e-Mohammed is a terrorist organization proscribed by the UN.
Then the Pakistani government should declare it.
Correct. So if it is a proscribed organization by the UN, does it come under the FATF guidelines?
Well, I think the Pakistan has been dealing with the FATF, and for that matter, the Pakistani authorities.
So, sir, I have some pictures of Jaish-e-Mohammed cadre and their commander Mufti Ilyas also. Where are they, sir? Are they in Pakistan or are they somewhere else?
I don't know. I'm not a spy.
No, it's not. They were walking in broad daylight. They were walking in broad daylight with Jhanda, and they were carrying a rally on the 5th of February on Pakistan's some day that they are calling.
I didn't keep. Perhaps I don't only respectability that ISI can muster that Kavachina is not a spy.
Okay, Sushant ji,
you are good in lying.
Sushant ji, now कोई कह के भी नहीं कह रहे हैं या नहीं कह के भी कह रहे हैं. What do you say?
Sushant ji speaking, I'll just close my ears because I'm getting ready for.
No, don't worry. When Plato talks to Aristotle and Socrates, we don't use all these words. And I frankly, since I've been given the title of Socrates or Plato or Aristotle, I don't like to associate myself with plebeians. But Anand, in your case, let me just say a couple of things. Number one, this is being rather disingenuous that you don't know where they are, or you don't know if Jaish-e-Mohammed has been banned. It has been banned by Pakistan itself, and yet it's given a free hand, as we saw them openly marching technically not Pakistan. Technically, it's an occupied territory in POK. Maybe the gentleman from across the border can take the lead.
That means Kamarchima also agrees it's occupied territory. It's not there, Sushanji. If it's not Pakistan.
Yeah. So, but Anand, on the Pakistan election, I'm glad that this gentleman finds that these elections were the cleanest and the purest and the most transparent elections in Pakistan's history. That this is the glory of democracy. If this is democracy, I don't think anybody would really want this kind of democracy, number one. Number two, can you imagine the kind of third-rate fellow their chief election commissioner is? They shut down the entire internet. They even the so-called Wi-Fi apparently has been running at speeds at which when internet came into India way back in 1996, it's those speeds at which apparently it's running. But the thing is that here is the chief election commissioner who justifies this suspension of internet services on a day when a lot of political mobilization takes place using the internet. He says that this has been taken for security reasons. What if a bomb blast or a terrorist attack takes place? Then who will be responsible? Now, if a terrorist attack takes place, despite the fact that you have shut down internet, who is responsible in that case? Now, the person who's responsible for security is already responsible for security regardless of whether there is internet or there is not internet. But they have blocked internet simply because they wanted to, ensure that people who could be mobilized, people who could be motivated to go out and vote, people who could be encouraged to go out and vote, people who could get information on where their polling booths are, were all, a little hamstrung by blocking internet. Now, if this is their definition of what a well-managed election is, then I don't know what is a badly managed election, number one. Number two, if you look at, just go through Pakistani Twitter timelines, and that's just one metric on which to judge what has been happening. The kind of outpouring by people who say that in places polling did not start even at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Can you imagine an election in India where polling staff does not reach a polling station? Can you imagine in India something like that happening? It's inconceivable that something like that will happen in an election in India. And we have elections in constituencies not of 2.5, 3 lakhs of people. We have constituencies which are 10, 15 lakhs people at a very minimum, right? And yet, look at the seamless way elections are conducted.
So, Sushantji, we are a ballot punching Hindutva fascist regime, whereas they are a gun wielding, bullet firing, vibrant democracy. Please, we have to give them that, you know? Please.
No, that's true, because I don't know what world these guys live in. They have crafted out an alternate reality for themselves, and they think they're the center of the universe.
But Kamar Chima, do you know the result, sir? Is Nawaz Sharif the next Prime Minister?
Well, I think we have yet to see. It all depends upon the voter turnout. It is being said that if the voter turnout is high, let's say it's more than 60%, there could be some setbacks. And if the voter turnout is low, even then we have to see, because if Nawaz Sharif, it is being considered as some of the polls, although they are not credible, but there is a probability if he gets around 100 seats, then he will be in difficulty. But if he is in a position to make a simple majority, then he is going to be the Prime Minister candidate for the PMLN. But the entire political and the electioneering environment is different at the moment. So it's hard to predict what's going to happen in few hours from now.
Amazing. Such a long answer for a 3-word answer, which I was expecting, saying it all depends on General Saab. And it came down to such a long-winded answer where you said nothing but said a lot. Amazing, Kamar Jiva. This is something that is an art. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan, I have to wind up. See, he's doing a thumbs up also, being a sport. I really love you for that. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan, final word. I have to wind up, sir, after this.
I have deep love and affection for Kamar China Saab. Just one question. In his opinion, was Osama bin Laden a terrorist?
He was a terrorist. His party is a terrorist.
Where was he found?
To whom against the Pakistani military has been fighting. Yes.
Where was he found? Where was he found, Osama bin Laden?
He was found in Abbottabad, Pakistan, and so what is
near a military base, just like the Jaish-e-Mohammed is there in public security, in public eye, despite being proscribed and banned by Pakistan itself and the UN itself, and it is there on territory claimed by Pakistan, but it does not belong to it. So this plausible deniability, again, this is something which they are past masters at. Love to have this conversation and little more. Let's see what happens when the results come out. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Winding up this edition of The Right Stand on that note. Stay with us. Brass Tacks follows. Namaste.
If those of you who don't know, Miss World is actually going to happen right here in the country this time. It's happening after 27 years. So thus a lot of pressure on what exactly comes out of this pageant. We are told it will happen in March in Mumbai. So we sat down with Sini and I asked her a couple of questions. The one thing I really wanted to understand from her was that since India is known for Atithi Deva Bhava, she will also be hosting the 120 other contestants.